Hey everybody, Rodman here. Thanks for tuning in to the Philosopher King, a RimWorld royalty series about being a benevolent ruler in a benevolent society. Last episode, I gave you the opportunity to vote on some rules and goals and projects, and here are the result of those polls. Gifting unwanted colonists to allies was overwhelmingly the choice to deal with unwanted population, opposed to banishing them or keeping them in cryo sleep. And then a second sidecaster is going to have a tribal background, opposed to morbid, minimalistic, dignified, or artistic. Tribal background was about 32% of the vote, morbid about 29%, the rest in the 10 to 15 range. As far as the projects, I left make anti-mech weapons on the board because I don't really have any plasteel. We're still trying to long-range mineral scan or deep radar scan for it. So I don't feel like I've accomplished that one. I left that on from last week. Constructing the permanent defenses was a very popular goal. And then in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, train a tribal sidecaster, a wild card, which I haven't decided what the goal will be, and then the 5th being a rehabilitation facility, basically a hospital for raiders. So, picking up where we left off, we have been trying to replace a lot of the marble in and around our base that doesn't need to be pretty with some good old-fashioned granite, which is stronger and tougher and more abundant. Going over some tips, LB Mayan mentioned that, and a few others mentioned that I don't have the kibble space for as much kibble as I queued up. Actually, I'm at 450. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually reduce this a little bit down, just so that we don't make an excess and end up with spillover. Additionally, the hospital could use some vents, so there they go. Now, if I am to use the animatry out here, this, for us to have a sidecaster build up to this, what I'm probably going to need to do is to take everybody that has a natural background to pray at it. So I know that Talon and Bubbaloo have natural backgrounds. Who else did? I forget off the top of my head. You'd think being a turtle herder, you'd have a natural background, but I suppose he does not. Evernath, right. Alright, so what we're going to do is to pray at this animatry in order for its charge to build up enough to grant a Psycaster level to almost certainly Talon. And the reason being is Bubbaloo is a tribal, but of course he's already a dignified royal holder. And then Ervanath is psychically deaf, so she really can't psycast at all. She will never really have a connection to the psychic powers, or whatever you want to call it. So what I'm going to do here is issue, to really make good on my my attempt to have a psychic Psycaster, I'm going to schedule Bubbaloo, Talon, and Ervanath to pray at this animatry. What I also am going to do is just clean up some of the rubble around it. Now, if you're curious, the radius of the animatry is a no-build zone. If you put buildings in around it, it reduces its effectiveness, which is basically not a very good thing to do. Now, the other issue is Bubbaloo may choose to schedule his meditation on his throne. And if this becomes the issue, what I would do is zone him off of it so that he has to go to the animatry or something like that. All right. So I think we're long overdue for a big trade run. I have quite a lot of double strand. I wouldn't mind if Zero actually made a nice surplus of backup clothing. So I'm going to have him, queue for that. As you can see, it's late winter, and we're really not going to be able to grow anything at the moment. We do have some plants in the ground. Let me unhide the zones for now. But as you can see, our food is, I wouldn't say it's dwindling just yet. I mean, we have a lot of corn and whatnot, but as soon as we are able, we're going to want to sow the earth. We do have this guest. This guest is from Erebum, trying to understand our cultures. She will be here for 23 days. Now, one of the interesting mechanics of a guest is they're basically treated like a colonist while they're here. You can't change their outfit or anything like that, but they could even form relationships, which in my opinion is pretty damaging, because then whoever they form relationships with will have to inevitably say goodbye, which can be a real problem. Okay, all the animal zoning looks fine. We're also going to have to break down this Leviathan of a monument. I mean, it's absurd, totally, in almost a hilarious way, how big this was. I didn't really realize the scope of this monument until I accepted it and was like, oh god, why? Alright, so what we're doing here is getting a lot of backup clothing. Zero is making just tons of spare double strand, and the benefit of this will be that people will be in tip-top, untattered clothing in order to allow them to protect themselves. Of course, having your clothing drop below 50% has a mood debuff. So here we go. As you can see, we have the anima tree that is charging up. And as it charges up, once it progresses enough, once it charges enough, it will have the ability to sort of grant a Psycaster level. Another thing I want to do is, let's go ahead. If we're going to be out here, let's plant some daylilies. Now, we're not allowed to have buildings or anything like that. Obviously, that would disturb the Psycast force. But daylilies should be just fine. And the more people that pray at this, the more charged up it gets. That is why I have non-psychics like Talon and Ervanath praying. I'm not entirely sure. I guess I should answer this for myself. Can other non-psychics pray as well? The answer will be found in mere moments. Because if I was really gung-ho about it, I could, of course, just assign a ton of people to... yeah, it looks like everyone can pray at it. But it can only grant tribals the ability to unlock, psychic potential. Now, I think it's probably best to really push for this in a season where we are going to be able to properly have this anima tree grow. But as you can see, it is producing anima grass. And there it is. Actually, you know what? I don't want... Let's have a ring of flowers, but I don't want to sow anything because of the anima grass requirement. So as the anima grass sprouts, it will allow us to tap the potential of the tree, and I think what I'm going to do is have animals not haul near it. There. keep them away at an arm's length. I don't think that anima grass is a valid eating thing, but I don't want to risk it. I haven't looked into the nitty-gritty details of it. I do understand how it works, how it builds up, etc. But okay, we are scanning some steel, which happens to be near other steel. And I'm just going to continue breaking down this monument. We certainly don't want it. And the Night Fiends were the ones that tasked us to build it, and I really could not care any less about what the Night Fiends thought. Looks to me like I'm going to need some additional granite, so I will queue the granite queue back up. Now, another thing I could do, let's see, I have a lot of unused limestone. Now, some of this limestone is going to go to large art projects. But here are the drop boxes that I was referencing. This is going to keep my stockpiles a little bit cleaner. I will have these drop boxes mimic the allowability of the stockpile itself, and then animals will be able to bring items to the box, which is not on a tile that builds filth, and I could then bring that item inside the stockpile. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people mentioned, oh, you know, like dogs don't have a filth rate. Well, the thing is, when you have as many animals as I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I only have 11 humans. So the amount of just normal wear and tear filth that I produce, if I allow animals to traverse wherever they want to, is effectively double. But of course, animals can't clean up after themselves. So the net result is I have a lot more filth, and no way of half of the filth producers don't clean it, which is exactly why I am ultimately going to disallow them from the stockpiles entirely and only allow them to bring to drop boxes. That will require my colonists to then bring it from the drop box inside. But as long as it's on a shelf, it won't decay either, even if it's outdoors. Shelves prevent outdoor decay. Unusable meditation focus. Yeah, I know. So we have a bunch of people praying at this anima tree for the purpose of growing grasses. But of course, they don't benefit from it. So what I'm going to do for now, because I'm in no particular rush, is just remove the, all the non-tribals from praying here until it's an ideal temperature, until basically it's in season. Guest unhappy, yeah. I'm sorry about that. Now, the anima tree isn't flammable, which is a very positive thing. You can't burn it. Has no flammability here. Bubbaloo, your desired psi focus, I guess I'll have to keep an eye on. Wow, it is hard snow. Pretty late in the winter for hard snow, but it happens. 3 in the morning. I think at 5 in the morning I'm going to start a speech. And then as people wake up, they'll attend. What quest was it? Fugitive Outpost? It's a whole lot of goodwill in Camp Loot. I'll accept it. So Fugitive Outpost is not actually that far away because it's on the road. Alright, as I said, as people wake up, they will filter in. It's probably the best way to give a speech that you don't tie up your colonists. The reason I'm giving this speech is just a little mood buff, maybe triggering some inspirations, ideally. Now I do need to start... Oh, inspirational, perfect. I do need to start working towards the permanent kill box. Or, I don't like the word kill box, but permanent defenses is kind of the more pleasant way of putting it. That means, to me, mining up a significant amount of these mountains to get them out of the way. It's going to be a lot of earth moving. Now, if I have this storage is lower, these are normal, and the shelves will be lower. What that will allow is it will prioritize the shelf item to be then hauled from the shelf into the... okay, this was silver. From the shelf into the stockpile. Alright, I don't actually want portions of silver. I'll do one portion here. And uninstall this thing. I was just curious what this was. Copy and paste. Put this as low. And then animal hauling will no longer be allowed in here. Sorry, pups. And this is mostly just to min-max my effort, so that I don't spend unnecessary time cleaning up after pets, because otherwise my stockpile will look like this. Pretty quickly. Alright, 0. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start mining up this mountain that's going to offer cover to enemies. Now, she's very, very quick at mining, so this shouldn't take too long. Not super maxed out quick, but pretty quick. And then, of course, we have a giant remove roof zone to prevent crushings. And this is going to be sort of the entry to our defenses. Alright, Talon, you have barely any work left. I'm excited because this will get our throne room to be the proper... Now, let me just redo this. The proper level of... impressive that we'll need. You, my friend, constraining clothing. Oh, you must be a nudist. Yes, you are. But I'm not able to strip you, so can't keep you happy in that way. Okay, so now the shelves, I think, are all squared away. Here is a grand sculpture that we'll be able to install. Yes, it does appear that Bubbaloo is preferentially gaining his meditation or his psi focus from the throne. So I'm going to set him to no throne. No throne will also, because it's really... You know, I should just call it, Bubbaloo's zone. Because really, he's the only one that's going to have it. So this, I can't dethrone him, right? I can't unassign the throne. Because what that would end up doing is it would, you know, upset him that he doesn't have one. But it can dezone him so that he prays at the anima tree instead. It is a slower... actually, the psi focus gain here is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Now, there is, of course, travel time. And there's not much I can do about the travel time. I can build roads up to here. But just to show you what I mean, if we build... Let's build a tiny section of concrete road and see what the effect is on the anima tree. Alright, so here is the second grand sculpture. This does actually bring, the one sculpture that I have brings up our requirement, the impressive requirement high enough, which is perfect. Okay, I no longer need any granite. So you can see we've granited up this area. We still have a ton of this monument to break down. I am not pleased by that quest. Not at all. Let's continue to remove the roof. Another thing I could do, well, I'm not going to do it because this is, of course, temporary. We're redesigning it. But, alright, so we're going to have some overhead mountain here, which might change where I build the defenses. Alternatively, we could have a deadfall trap. I don't particularly like... They're very, very effective, but I don't particularly like them because of the sort of cheesy nature of how effective they are. It sounds strange, right? That something that's really good at killing raiders, you know, you'd think I'd like, but I find them exploitative a bit. But I don't really think that there's any other good defense point. Hey, compacted machinery. Oh, yeah, look at that. Now, in vanilla RimWorld, there is no functional way to remove overhead mountain. You can't mine it out. There's just nothing you really could do. It's just the way the game is. There's one of the only limitations on terraforming. I mean, of course, you can't, like, purposely create rich soil. And as you can see here, the anima grass is increasing. And Baldu's psi focus levels are staying high enough that I'm not concerned. Now, there's two ways of, and I mentioned this last episode, there's two ways of setting your psi focus. You can set the desired psi focus with the bar here, and they will just schedule it in for themselves, or you can schedule it in yourself like this, and they get what they get. I like both ways for different reasons. I am sort of speculating a southern kill box or defenses, but no, I think I'm just going to deal with the northern one. The reason being, my hospital's up here, and yeah, there's not a whole lot of advantage to moving it down south. Just being picky. Alright, let's continue to remove roof so that it doesn't crush an eyeball. You know, which could happen. At least I have all these hauling pets able to haul away the limestone that I don't want or need. Alright, colored lights just got researched. Cosmetic purposes only. Let's go with multi-barrel weapons. Seems like a fine idea. So another thing I'm going to do, oof, this one hurts me a little bit, is move these pods. I'm going to move the pods to down here along this this wall. It makes the most sense because this is where we're going to be loading from. So let me grab the middle point here. So this is 24. So the middle would be here. And this will cut into some of the farm, but I'm okay with that. Actually, I'll just cut it off like that. Loss of a little farmland won't kill me. Alright, so 5 pods down there is fine. Because, yeah, we're likely to be loading in... you know what? You should learn a vertical pulse. We're likely to be loading in from the stockpiles. Oh, wow, that is a significant cluster. Okay, well, blue zone, don't go near there. Animal hauling, don't go near there. And non-bloodlust, don't go near there. And bloodlust will be a reverse zoning of this. Invert. And if I restrict, or go to schedule, I forgot. 0, Mathis, and, oh, well, she's probably, yeah, she's not bloodlust. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a bunch of assemblers. We have some auto mortars. I'm sure we have a mortar shield somewhere. Proximity activators. Do they really have no mortar shield? So this is going to be one of those that we try to land, maybe even an anti-grain. That would be interesting. Land an anti-grain on the right around here and blowing up as much of it as we can. So how long do we have to deal with this? There is going to be proximity activators. Alright, I'm going to have to even widen this. So we have a timer somewhere. Where was the maybe it's just on proximity. Okay. As far as I could tell, there are no mortar shields. So that means, actually, you high explosive and you anti-grain. 3 high explosives and anti-grain volley. What we really want to do is take out the auto mortar here. That's going to be the most important because that can fire back upon us as soon as it's awoken. And then the anti-grain should be able to nuke a significant portion of that outright and immediately. Which is, in my opinion, pretty important. We'll also want our shooters to probably have sniper rifles to be able to deal with the centipedes that arise from this. Ideally, I would deal with this in a way where we would be able to reclaim the unstable power cells, because unstable power cells are wonderful for remote deep drilling. They generate enough power to power up 2 deep drills, which is pretty nice for little, outposts and whatnot. But of course, I'm not going to try to save the unstable power cells at the cost of risking people's lives. I mean, that would be pretty dreadful. Alright, so we know we have an overhead mountain here. And I'm going to address it appropriately, and then maybe even remove this one as well. Alright, we have all of this zone here I could ignore now, because obviously we can't remove anything. Let's ignore this zone too. This should be mined out as well at some point, because it gives pretty limited field of vision from the pillbox. Now, those pillboxes are not in their complete form, not even a little bit, but Alright, so the idea here is to put probably a wooden column. And then the idea, what you would want to have is a flammability around it, putting flooring and the like, so that if you did want to collapse a sizable chunk of the overhead mountain roof, you could do it, you know, in a snap. And it would go ahead and crush whoever was underneath it. And I'll probably try to incorporate that into a defense plan of some sort. Oh god, that is... I mean, I know they're zoned to be not allowed in there, but that makes me nervous. Alright, well, what a start. So, as you can see here, the anima tree has tanked its, so it's not affected by these roads, interestingly enough, but it is tanked because of the mech cluster's construction. So what we can do is have a path. Maybe what we'll do is something like a continuous path out there, like this. And if we're going to be traversing to this anima tree often, it would help to set it up with proper auto doors to make it a little bit quicker to traverse. And the anima tree is like perfectly in line with my oh, interesting. Perfectly in line with my barracks, funny enough. Now, one complex, large project would be to create a wall around the circumference of the tree to prevent, you know, the traversing of animals or whatever. All right, let's make this a one-wide path, though. Just to reduce, and maybe even make it a natural stone. Granite flagstone or something like that. Okay, none of this has a roof over it, so mine that all up without harm done. So here, if this wooden column, which is weak and not very load-bearing, gets destroyed, the whole thing comes down. One of the advantages of this, of course, being wood, is it is fairly flammable. And then if we have incendiary launchers or something like that, we could line the area and then bring down the house around would-be raiders. I think I'm not going to do any additional mining because this isn't really harming the progress of my my traps or anything like that. I mean, I know I zoned everyone properly, but having them move this close to the mech cluster is a little nerve-wracking, to be honest. All right, quest available, chicken sitting. Chief of the Regular Lake wants us to take care of Yoko. Okay. Let's accept for the Glitter World Medicine. And Yoko, you are going to be set to animal grazing, because it's really the only safe place to be. Okay, so now we have a path that doesn't affect the anima tree out to it, increasing or decreasing our commute when we need to commute. And we'll get the remainder of the wall up. I think it should be about time that I deal with this giant mech cluster. So probably at the top of tomorrow. that people are well rested and taken care of, we'll go for it. We'll headhunt for that. Let's go ahead and fill these pods up full. There we go. What I'm going to do here is allow animal hauling to haul really anything that is dropped here, because I don't really care about the filth that is generated down here. It is no longer a problem. Jan Shui in a food binge. Oh, just because you're gourmand. I was like, what did I do wrong? Because I felt like I was treating her quite well, but hey, it's not my fault. It's just a personality trait. Trying to figure out why there's wood there. Oh, because the stockpile is full and the animals couldn't access, the haulers couldn't access a better stockpile for it. I got it. Now it's going to be very, very hard to charge this up further, just given its proximity to the mechs. It's a bit of a bummer. But I gotta say it is coming along. We have a bunch of animal grass, so. This from space, or from up here, I guess I'm not really in space, it does look a bit like hieroglyphics or something. It is pretty cool. Didn't enjoy have to make it, but it does look cool. Alright, I would say we have not so many sources of meat anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and do... This is probably more hunting than I need to do. I was asked about why I didn't butcher the speleopedes. So here's the reason why. The whole reason I was keeping corpses in here in the first place is the needs of the warg. The wargs only eat raw meat and corpses. Whereas... a lot of other creatures, what would be a good example? Boogie Woogie here eats corpses, but a lot of other things. So the issue is if I turned these speleopedes into kibble, the wargs don't eat the kibble, and then they would starve. And if I turned them into just raw meat, a lot of the other creatures would prefer to eat the insect meat over kibble at times. So keeping some corpses in here and requiring them to stay corpses allows the wargs in a lockdown situation to continue being able to feed themselves, which I think is very, very important. All right, Jan Shui no longer picking out food. Oh, but you're going to sleep at 5 in the morning. All right, that's a bit of a problem because it means that I'm down a potential shooter. What is your sleep? Yeah, your sleep needs are bad. So yeah, I'll probably be fighting the mechs midday. Let's do a little bit of hunting. Honing our shooting skill. Please don't walk into the mech cluster though. It looks like we've, you know, I actually might sew this, flip it from cloth to rice, and get a big old harvest of rice going, just to make sure that we don't run out on food. I will even disallow sewing everywhere else. I'll try to get you guys fed. Alright, what I'm going to start to do is switch the weapons around. Actually, Chris will have you go there. Switching the weapons around so that we have a fair bit of long-range weapons. So Zero, Mathis, Yan Shui, and Chris. I'm going to move Chris a little bit. Are going to have the sniper rifles. Which means one, Bubbaloo. Alright, let's go ahead and put everyone into lockdown. We're going to be in battle mode now. So the barn can include this area. But I probably don't need to lock them down quite that much. Let me put them into grazing. And then grazing should disallow a significant... Actually, don't even come over here. Yeah, that's grazing. Alright, now for everybody else, we are going to put them in home. Get them to basically stop what they're doing. I'm going to conscript everybody. Bubbaloo, Talon over here. You, guest, you're going to be used too. So, oh, Mathis. Mathis, what are your needs? Oh, you're just divorced. Let's... Oh, you're a teetotaler. That's going to be tough. So 1, 2, 3. So my snipers are going to be at the ready. I'm going to hold fire on these. Fastupia, Shay, Poppy. Fastupia, you're going to get the honors of the big shot. Alright, there we go. Get people up and ready. And then Mathis, eat that lavish meal. We're all waiting on you. Oh, I think that lavish meal had queued up some insect meat. Let me just real quick fix that. I thought I had set it up right. No human meat, no insect meat. Oh, that was for fine meals. Ah, that's where I went mistake. Insect meat, nope. And human meat, nope. Alright, so all the HE shells are loaded up. The anti-grain is loading. Evernath, I'm going to have you conscripted just so that I can account for your where you are and what you're doing. Alright, so our snipers are at the ready. They're obviously outside of the radius of the will be attacks. Okay, we are set to go. So I'm going to tell them to let the shelling begin. I'm going to be aiming... I'm going to have everyone aim for the mortar. And then I'm going to have the anti-grain aim for the center of the cluster. And then Fastupia, you are going to come join us over here. We're going to let everyone else reload. And of course, I'm sure that you all want to see anti-grain warhead hit. And that is why I built that crazy giant monument. Because, holy cow, they were annihilated. And we have 6 more of those where they came from. Alright. My shooters hop into action. We've got very little action to do. I'm going to continue the... actually, you know what? Save the shells. I can use Talon and Bubbaloo to knock out this Inferno turret, no problem. So we'll use our shooters to take out the remaining mechs. And I'm going to take everyone off of zoning here. Okay. Let's keep kiting a little bit. It's going to take a little while to knock out these centipedes without lances. But Oh, this ambrosia's ready to harvest. Oh, Yan Shui is starving. That's not good. Alright, Talon and Bubbaloo, let's close on the turrets. I'm not all that worried about it, because we have shield belts, which easily absorb whatever they have to throw at us. And then once we're within a certain radius, it doesn't even have the capacity to harm us. Uh-oh, we might get set on fire here. One of the beauties of Devil Strand is it's less flammable than most other materials. So the mech cluster is officially kaput. I know I have a scyther heading towards me. I'm not all that worried, to be honest. And let's keep kiting. And I'm going to probably not even trigger a... Yeah, I didn't need to trigger a stun. Okay. So you guys fully took care of that. No problems. This centipede's almost dead, and then we'll work on the last one. Just... Okay, there we go. It's gone. You are going to be back on home zones. The centipede's like just a few shots away from getting crumbled too. Come on, just go down. Because I am out of time. But what an efficient knockout of the mech cluster. I'm sure you'd agree. We'll just continue until this mech is formally gone. There we are. Alright guys, well that is all the time I have. I cannot wait to figure out exactly how to incorporate that overhead mountain into a deadfall trap for the defenses. And then to, you know, get a second sidecaster using the beautiful natural animatry. That's really coming along as well. If you have any tips, tricks, feedback for me, do drop me a line in the comments below. For everybody that voted in the polls, thank you so very much. And a reminder to my patrons that you can always submit ideas for the polls whenever you want on Discord. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you all next episode. Adios.